What he did was he told the church that I had an evil demon in me named Jezebel, and it made him have sex with me every time. My mom decided that since I was so evil, she was going to get a whole bunch of people over, speak in tongues and moan and groan in the basement to try to get my demon out because I was upstairs.
It's none of our business. 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 It's none of our business.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the It's Really None of Our Business podcast. I'm your host, Monica Vandermeer, and this is our second host, Amanda Nielsen. And today we'd like to welcome our guest, Melissa Symons. Welcome to the show,
Thank
Mel.
you. Happy to be here. It's exciting.
So this is a show where we open a cheap bottle of wine and we attempt to solve the problems of the world, as you guys know. But today we're going to do a little bit of a twist. We thought we would bring in Monica's sister, and I know her life is none of our business, but we have so many questions. Well, mostly I do, because I think you probably know.
I know a lot of it, and let's not forget our new room. We're the new traveling road show, basically. This is Amanda and Monica on the road.
I love that.
The Traveling Roadshow podcast, where we'll interview anyone with $1 million home.
Yeah, you have to let us into your home, and your home, if it's not better than this, we're not coming.
We're not coming. So if you're living in the hood, we won't. Well, actually, we would come.
So, Monica, how do you have such a rich sister?
I just got unlucky. I'm the unlucky one. I made the poor choices in my life, and my sister made some very good choices in her life. She's actually really smart with business. I think just intuitively, she just knows how to make money, and she has. It's not, I went to university for 7 years or whatever. She's like, oh, I know how to make money. I'll do this. And everyone goes, you're stupid. And she's like, just wait.
And then it works. I love to hear that, because that's where Karsten is right now. He keeps doing all these weird things. And even I'm like, what? Why? And then all of a sudden it's like he's just bringing home handfuls of cash. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm like,
Nice.
wait, what? Your crazy stuff is working? Okay, you keep doing that.
Exactly. So my sister with Melissa, which is the funniest thing she always says to me, is just let me run your life for you.
Why don't you let her?
She won't let me. She's so freaking stubborn.
There's one reason, and you know why.
Oh, the yellow couch.
The yellow couch.
Oh, okay, let's hear that story.
Tell us the yellow
The
couch
yellow
story.
couch?
Yeah.
Okay, Monica moved to town and she had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have any vehicles and we were both broke. And you needed furniture ASAP to furnish your
So
place.
I moved into
And
a
so-
townhouse with no furniture.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, let's just buy shit that's unseen from Kijiji and we'll be good to go.
She's like,
And
I
so-
got this. I've got this down. I'm going to get it delivered. I'm going to,
So she had the confidence and you trusted her.
yeah. And I let her buy everything for me.
Okay.
Yes.
What could go wrong?
Well, there was this leather couch for $100 in which we could afford.
Yeah.
And they were going to deliver it for free. And so we organized it all and it was white in the pictures and it looked gorgeous. And it came and it was
Yellow.
sun yellow,
Okay,
lemon yellow.
So you were upset about the couch.
No, I laughed about the couch.
Okay.
I got it, and you're just getting a house. You have no furniture, so you're basically furnishing your whole house for $1,000.
Right.
Right? And so in comes this and everything we got, there was beds with stains, mattresses with stains. I'm watching this shit come in my house because it's all sight unseen, and I'm like, motherfucker.
Okay.
And then in comes this couch, and she's she has this Pinterest picture of this white couch, and I'm like, okay, fine. And it's this bright, sunny yellow couch. And I just laughed, and I sent her pictures of this couch that I got. And anytime she said, why won't you let me run your life? I just say, yellow couch.
But honestly, that look around you. She made one yellow couch mistake.
Yeah.
I think she's proven herself to know what she's doing.
You know what? Whose fucking side are you on?
Hers.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, so we're not here to talk about who's the richer sister,
Well,
as
duh.
much as it seems. We want to know kind of your childhood growing up a little bit, because you and Monica had pretty different childhoods. How much of an age difference do you guys have?
9 years. And you know what? I think me and Monica are absolute polar opposites in every single way.
Interesting.
Almost.
Do you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Monica's heart is broken.
Like,
Okay.
how can you say that?
Okay. You love children
Yeah.
and hate animals.
Yeah.
I love animals and have no interest in children.
Right.
Okay.
I am very conscientious about how people feel all the time. And you're like, you just say it as it is and just leave my house. Go away. I'm done with you.
Yeah, it's true.
You don't care about people's
Well,
feelings.
no, but if you came over to my house and I'm tired, I'm gonna be like, fuck, man, I'm going to bed. Like, if you're like my friend and you're over.
That's not. But you don't do that with like strangers. We've had this
No,
conversation.
I don't do it
before.
with strangers. But Melissa can't even do it with people that she's close to. Like she just pretends that everything.
Well, that
is
probably
fine.
has a lot to do with the way you were raised and
Yes.
feeling. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's get to that because
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions. So when you were growing up, did you kind of feel like an only child because your siblings were so much older than you?
I felt like me and my brother, who was 4 years older, were kind
Okay.
of the children.
Right.
Because I think Monica was gone by the time I was like 5.
Right.
And my
fair
old
enough.
brother was gone by the time I was 4.
So what was the household like growing up for you?
It was awful. So we have a mother with narcissistic personality disorder,
Okay.
and our father left when I was 7. Monica was 16. But my father didn't want anything to do with me
Why?
if he just doesn't love me, but he loved Monica. So Monica went and lived with him, and well, he kind of loved you. Well, yeah, in his way.
So you moved out at 16 and moved in with him?
In grade 10, I moved in with him, but only for the summer. I only lived with him over the summer and then moved back with you and mom or whatever. But I left.
Or whatever.
I left when I was 19. Like, as soon as I finished high school, like, I was gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you're still living at home with mom and brother.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, yeah, Monica's life was completely different because she was kind of loved-ish. No, were you loved?
No, I had a completely horrible life too, but I found a boyfriend when I was 12 years old, and so I concentrated.
love
So
from that.
you got the love from that.
Yeah, I'm an
Yeah.
external source. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Well, isn't love all like even if it's from your parents, it's still external. Like
Yeah, but your first family, if you don't receive love from your first family, it fucks you forever.
yeah.
You know, and so I was sort of adopted into my ex-husband's family.
Oh, okay.
Sort of, kind of. There was still issues there as well. But I think that I received more of a validation that I was okay, whereas Melissa probably didn't.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was kind of like on my own.
So
I knew
what
that.
kind of explain a little bit about narcissists to me because like I know a little bit, but I don't know if our viewers do.
Oh my God, there's so many symptoms of being having narcissistic personality disorder. It's not the same as being a narcissist.
Oh,
like,
okay.
You don't look in the mirror all day and say, I'm so beautiful. Narcissistic personality disorder is all about number one is you, and the world is there to serve you and love you and take care of you, and you don't have any real responsibilities. You are not, no one else is important but you.
Is that
makes
something that you would be born with, or is that a developed?
I think it's a
personality?
trauma, actually.
Yeah, I think it is a trauma,
It
or
usually
you
happens
become
from
it.
your own childhood trauma.
So something happened to your mom. Like it's not
Yeah.
like you come out of the womb and you just assume the world's there to serve you.
I don't know. I think there's a mixture of like nature and nurture.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, back to this.
There's-
Oh,
Back to
yeah.
nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
But what happens with a narcissistic parent is you are just there to as a showpiece for them. So everything that you do is a reflection on them. So if you're beautiful, that is good, and if you are not beautiful, then then you will be told you're not beautiful, and then you because you're a bad reflection on them.
Yeah.
Right.
But to be fair, I think of my kids as reflections of me when it comes to behavior.
But
Like
it's
if
a
my
little
kid's acting like a
different.
little asshole, I'm
Yeah.
like, stop acting like that. You're embarrassing me.
But it's more like, how will your short hair, how will my friends think of your short hair?
Yeah.
And they may not like it, and then they'll think I'm a horrible person, so you will not have short hair. Or if you're going to school to become a massage therapist, that's horrible. What will people think? It'll be a bad reflection on me. You need to go to school to become a doctor or do
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everything is about how people will see you as a person.
Right.
Like I've told this story before, but when Melissa moved, so she moved 10 minutes further away from my mother, who used to visit Melissa 3 or 4 times a week. Her response was not, "Oh my God, thank God you have a beautiful house. Like you're obviously moving up." It was like, "I can't believe you've moved further away from me. Now I have to drive further." And she was angry.
She said, it's 7 minutes longer for me to go to your house.
Yeah.
I don't like your house. I don't want you to move. Like,
Yeah.
how can you do this to me?
How could you do this to
Yeah.
me?
Yeah, and so that's it. How can you, everything is about,
Yeah.
it's never about how is your happiness. There's never a question about how are you? Like how are
No.
you feeling? The questions are always like, well, how does this reflect upon me?
Or how does this make me feel?
So
Yeah.
what was like a day in the life growing up for you?
Well, my mom gave me, like, I was the golden child, I think, and Monica might have been the scapegoat. So she was the one that was shit on, and I was the one that was used to entertain her and take care of her.
Because you were the cute
nurture
youngest
her.
one, maybe?
No, it's because I'm sensitive and I gave into the guilt.
Did she sort of, because sometimes like when somebody can be manipulated, you just manipulate
Oh,
them. Do you
yeah.
feel like she could sense your sensitivity and that you were easier to
Yes.
Absolutely.
manipulate?
She
So
absolutely knows the buttons to push.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. And like, I was a lonely kid, right? So she always would say, if you do this, I'll be lonely. If you go to your friend's house, I'll be lonely. And I'll
Oh.
cry the whole time.
She would say that to you?
Yeah, this is when I'm 7 years old. So I just decided that I wasn't going to go anywhere because she was going to be lonely.
You didn't want your mom to
And
feel
I had to
sad.
take care of her. So she made it my job. She made me sleep with her for like 4 years in her bed to keep her company after my
Wow.
dad left. And
So you were her like best
Surrogate.
friend.
It becomes a surrogate partner.
no, it was like, and when she would cry all the time, and I had to comfort her and make sure she was okay. And when
I can't
Doesn't that
imagine
make you angry? Don't you feel the anger?
children are supposed to be taken care of. They're not. I always like
Yeah.
think of that, like, even a lot of the times with single parents, you end up having this relationship of like the kids are kind of taking care of the mom because they feel like they have to, and part of me is always like, oh, that poor kid never got a child.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And it's damaging. It's
100%.
It's completely 100% damaging.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny to like listen to you speak because you're so normal. And whenever you say
Thank
something,
you.
you're
Tell
like,
me more.
that doesn't make sense. Like, it totally makes sense.
It's just really, it's very common to have these situations where the parents put their expectations on their kids to
But this is a little further.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was going. Like, it's pretty common to have that, but like to the extent of you have to sleep with me, you can't go to your friend's house or I'll cry myself to sleep. That puts this feeling on you. Well, I don't want to make my mom cry. Of course
Yes.
I'll stay home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And especially if that's your only false sense of love or security.
Yeah, you don't know
Like,
any better.
yeah.
Did you feel you didn't think it was wrong or different at the time? You probably thought it was normal.
I don't know what I thought. I was young,
Yeah.
right? But I knew that I was pretty jealous of my friends who had parents and love and who
Yeah.
had food.
So
And
you didn't have food?
we didn't have food.
Why?
Well, we kind of did. We had like rotten bananas, and because she just didn't care to buy it or make it.
It's also a part of narcissism too. Like food, like it is a common theme among narcissistic parents too. Kids will eat things like white bread and sugar and French fries, like very unnutritional food because it's cheap.
Yeah.
And it's not important to.
That's not just narcissist. That's just like not poverty. I'm using the word poverty, but like just cheap. Like, when you don't have money.
But we grew up in Bonavista. Vista. Like,
So
you know what I mean?
she had money. She just chose not to spend it
Well,
on food.
she also, so when my dad left, like there was this fucked up time where she decided that she wasn't, she said to him, well, you're coming back and I'm not going to take your child support. I'm not going to, like, because I want you back. And so she basically supported the family on like cleaning houses and being a seamstress and stuff. But you can still feed your children quite nutritiously
Yeah.
on minimum groceries, right? That would be more like peanut butter and
Yeah.
jam, but it was like, no, she would buy $75 worth of groceries in the week, and that was it.
35.
35.
Yeah. I remember she always prided herself
Yeah, like
And
What did she eat? Like she ate just crap too?
Well, she bought stuff that she liked.
Well,
so
she ate a lot of cookies and coffee, like, and she used to brag about that. All I have is cookies and coffee, and look how thin I am. Like,
Oh my god.
so yeah, the whole food situation, like for Melissa, like remember, like she is 9 years younger than me. So at 16 years old when that happened, I had a small fridge in my room, and I would lock my bedroom door and buy my own groceries. And then if I left to go to the bathroom and I didn't lock my door, then my brother and sister would run into her room
They come and steal it.
and
You guys
steal
were
my
like
food.
that hungry?
No, because
Or you
I
just-
had
wanted food.
you know, like I had
It wasn't-
sandwich meat. I had to go to school, so I'd buy things like sandwich meat and bread.
So you're taking care of yourself from like a young age.
Because I'm working at a minimum wage job after school,
Yeah.
so that I can buy things like tampons, maxi pads, and my lunch
Deodorant,
food,
yeah.
deodorant. Like
So that kind of stuff your mom didn't
No.
buy for you.
well, she'd buy groceries, but you know it'd be gone in one day. You know,
Yeah.
there were 4 kids in the house.
Did I tell you about the business I had and how I got lunch food?
No, tell me.
Okay.
You starting businesses at the
I know, I was like
Yes.
7.
Yeah.
So Mom would buy these big things of iced tea powder. And so what I would do is instead of bringing lunch, because there wasn't anything to bring, I would put these packets of iced tea powder into little pieces of
Saran
saran
wrap,
wrap
yeah.
and make them into a ball.
Yeah.
And I would trade everybody for their
food?
sandwiches or their granola bars. And so I like showed them. It was like, okay, you lick your finger and then you dip it in and you suck it, and they're like, oh, it tastes so good. It's like pure sugar.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'd bring like 4 of
Good
those
for
to
you.
school. And
You are like, I
I
swear
was
to
an
God,
entrepreneur,
some
right?
people are
Yeah.
born entrepreneurs. I swear to God, and like that story just proves it.
Well,
to
it
me.
it becomes out of necessity. You learn really early in your life that there's no one coming to save you.
Yeah, no one's gonna
Yeah.
take
You
care
know,
of
so
you.
you have to start scheming. Like my first job, I was 12 years old. I started babysitting, and you start thinking, okay, this like I need to make money to get by.
Oh my
You know what I
God.
mean?
Yeah.
And so when you either fail and you either like I don't fucking care, I'll just live in this dump, or you're like, how am I going to get out of this? Because there's nobody here to save me. I got to
Yeah.
get out. And I think that's probably where we're
I
the same.
Yeah,
that
we
way.
are.
Yeah.
So I know that you've mentioned in the past that your mom is very religious. So how
Yeah.
did religion play a part in the childhood?
Well, she became extremely religious once my dad left because she
Okay.
made some friends, and being a narcissist, that's a typical thing that they do. They hang out in churches and they feel superior. Like God is, they're full of like, I think it's like 80% of ministers are narcissists.
Is that right?
Yeah,
That
because
does not shock me at all. Like yes,
because they believe that they're so special that the God that created the heavens and earth listens to them and talks through them. And God, wouldn't that be nice? Hell yeah. I wish I could believe that. But
I gotta tell you, if I find out somebody's religious, especially to that extent, like I think so poorly of
It
them.
is
Like,
it's an automatic fuck no.
it's
isn't
an
it?
automatic like you're not my kind of person. Like
No.
no way. So was there a lot of going to church, a lot of control? Like what did it look like?
So we were going to church 5 nights a week.
5?
Yeah.
What religion was this?
It was born again Pentecostal Christian,
Okay.
but it was fundamentalist. So,
Okay.
like the jihadists that blow up things, it's like the Muslim version of
Yeah.
the Christianity. So, like, I don't know if you've ever seen it like on documentaries where people like walk on snakes and they run around and they make their own like version of the Bible, and they
Okay.
scream and moan and fall on the floor and
Like the talking in tongues? and
yeah,
speaking?
yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
That was it.
That was it. But it was like it was like crazy. Like
5 days a week?
yeah.
That's
So
a
from
lot.
like 7 p.m. till sometimes midnight, school days. I'd fall asleep on the chairs.
I barely want to put my kids in soccer because I'm like, oh my God, by the time I get them home from school and feed them dinner and bring them to like your mom's taking you 5 days a week, probably because she wanted to go.
Oh no, she liked it because
Yeah.
it was it's on like an emotional high, right?
Yeah.
People would come and hug her, and they would sing songs for like 2 hours and jump up and down and scream and sing Kumbaya and shit.
I really, people that are like that drawn to that kind of religion. Like, obviously I'm not talking about people that just like have a faith and a belief. Like, that's not where I'm going with this. But the people that are drawn to that are missing something.
But normally, like, I always think that religion is necessary because for all those damaged people.
Yeah.
Like, if you are a drug user, an alcoholic, a former prostitute, and somebody says, and then you have this place that says, Jesus loves you, God loves you, we love you, and you know, we accept you. Like, if you sort of visualize that, it's full of that. Right? It's full of that kind of acceptance, and a lot of those people, it probably saves them. And in my mom's case, where she was so emotionally needy, this was also a place. It had rules, like everything had an exact rule. This is right, this is wrong.
Right.
And my mother's not able to see gray, right? Like, she can't think to herself, how do I feel about this? Because she doesn't. She just needs someone to tell her what's right and what's wrong. And a religion like that is it's very definite.
The Bible says this, so this is what we do.
It's more the minister says this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Interesting.
Yeah. And so, like, we can go on into stories like, she says to me things like, well, you can't eat Hershey's chocolate because there's aborted fetuses in it.
What?
Yeah. And why is there aborted fetuses? Well, because her minister told her, like, there's some conspiracy theory. What is it, Mel? Tell us about that one.
Oh, I think there's some kind of protein, and they used an aborted fetus at some point, and they grew the fetus into different cells, and they keep on using these cells. It was for some kind of protein in the
Hershey's chocolate or something.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that the same as how Hillary Clinton drinks baby's blood to
Kinda.
stay young?
Yeah.
You know that truth that
Yeah,
we all know?
and so when I say to my mom, you just say, Mom, that's not true. And she says, it's on the internet.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the problem.
Or
with
it's in the
Facebook.
Bible. Oh,
Well,
so
that's not in
do you
the
want to hear
Bible.
my having babies on the floor story?
Yes.
Okay. So
Who doesn't?
What if we said no to that? No, we're good.
so in this church, it was called Don Ross Ministries. They were like the most fundamentalist, I think, in the city at the time. They were downtown. I think it was a group of like 30 people. That's where I was going. And so now she's at this church that's like almost acceptable, like not acceptable,
Nowadays.
but not, like they're just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But back then, okay, so there's this scripture in the Bible that says you give birth in the spirit with groanings that cannot be uttered. So they would all lay on the floor and they would moan and groan, all men and women, and they'd sit there with their legs open and go, praise Jesus, blah, 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 and speak in tongues. And then they would push out their spiritual baby.
And what would happen with the baby?
I don't know.
Spiritual baby.
Well, I guess I don't know what would happen.
I
but
think
what would be
it probably goes to heaven so they can be birthed as souls, right?
Oh,
Like,
that's the point of it?
isn't
no,
wouldn't it?
I
Like,
think that it makes them a better person because their spiritual growth gives them a new baby and their
Oh,
spirit.
it's like shedding your skin, but it's shedding your soul, and then
I
you
don't
get a
know.
new.
I don't know.
See, okay, the way my brain works is
Yeah.
I'd be like, somebody would tell me to do that, and if it made sense, I'd be like, all right, I guess I'm on the floor. But like, you have to stop and be like, but why are we doing
I know.
because it says in the Bible and you don't. Because if there was like some kind of scripture that said that, she would just go, well, if that's what it said and the minister says to do it, then you just do it. And so I asked Melissa, did you do that? Because you were a young child.
Yeah.
So you did it as well.
No. I didn't do it. I watched, and by the time I was about 10 or 11, I thought, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's a good
This is
question.
not cool.
At what point in your life did you go? Because you were like going to this religious place 5 days a week. And in the beginning, you must have went, oh, yeah, this is definitely the way.
Yeah.
Because you're a child.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
whatever you're presented, you're going to agree with.
And you love your mom so much, and that's what she does. So
And so you do. And you are in a cult.
Well, I wanted acceptance from her also.
Yeah.
So I started
Yes.
playing the piano for them.
Oh.
And while they did their sing song, so that was 5 days a week. So then I had to be there, and Mom was so proud of me because it gave me a little bit of that little bit of love. That she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, there's my daughter. She's playing the piano." So that's how I got my little love fix of 1%. And then after a while, but like I think it was around the time I reached puberty, like 11, I was like looking at these people, going, "What the fuck?" Like all these people have like a grade 8 education.
yeah.
All the men try to like hug me and squeeze my tits, and I'm just not comfortable. But then I was so scared of going to hell because that's what you're taught from a kid
Yeah.
that you don't know what to do
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't seem right, but you better keep with it because you might go to hell.
And if you have those impure thoughts, like God's listening, so he knows that you're thinking bad about it. Like, did you have that?
Yeah.
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 Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then,
absolutely.
so then,
that's the fear they put into religion. Hey? It's like, well,
Yes.
you not only have to behave properly, you have to think everything pure and devoted towards
Yes.
Christ because he is listening and watching. He's like
That's
Santa
right.
Claus.
He knows
when you're
everything.
sleeping. He knows when
Yeah.
you're awake.
yeah.
So was it at 11, like you reaching puberty? Because me and Melissa developed quite early. Was it then that you're starting to get attention from men
yeah.
and men in the church?
Yes. So no, it was by the time I was about 14, I had huge boobs and I was cute. And this guy in the church, he was interested in me, and
What kind of guy? How old?
he was 32. I was 14.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and he
age.
was very respected in the church. So I thought he was special, and he wanted to take me home from church one day and after church on Sunday. And so we became friends. I didn't even know what sex was. I
You
didn't,
probably thought like this is just a friendship.
yeah,
Like,
I didn't even know how it worked. I didn't know anything really because
Yeah.
you don't,
And
there was no internet back then.
So when you were in, because like you went to regular public school, did they not have sex ed back then, or
They did, yes.
Do you-
So
did-
we
so
knew
you
that,
probably
you
knew the
know,
basics.
the penis goes in the vagina
Right.
and it's special, and the, sparks fly,
And
and
wait till you're married.
But you
Wait till
probably
you're
weren't
married.
thinking this 32-year-old man is showing interest in me because he wants to have sex with me. Because
Yes.
like your brain doesn't put those.
But
two
at
No.
14, you're quite hormonal at 14. Like I was horny as fuck at 14.
I wasn't.
Like I do remember thinking at 14, like I could get that 30-year-old guy. Like I had those thoughts.
That's because you were having sex at 12. Okay, we're gonna take a break
You
and
hope?
we'll be back in a second. And we're back. Okay, so we were talking about a 32-year-old showing interest in you. So
Yes.
tell us how that developed.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think he kissed me one day and I was shocked, and I was like, oh, well, he must really love me. And it was like the only attention I ever got, right? From
Yeah.
like any male or anything. So I like jumped right in. Oh my God, love me, please love me. Anybody love
Finally,
me.
love.
Yes. So eventually, he just ended up having sex with me. I didn't know it was
I
really
love how you
happening.
the way that you word it, he ended up having sex with me, not we ended up having sex.
So
Yes.
that
but-
says right there. What
I
happened.
remember
Yeah,
he
but
bought a van
you
and then
must-
he put a bed in it.
You must have had an emotional like I'm feeling from you, and of course there's like this level of guilt that you have, like even later, of the shame of like, oh, I did this. Not like there's so much fucking shame around that was put on you. Like it just makes me so fucking angry.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
But
Yeah.
you develop an emotional connection with somebody because they're there to say, I love you, I
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
you. And then it becomes an addiction. You'll do anything to get it because you're so fucking hungry for it.
You are, yeah, you'll
Right.
do anything.
Yeah.
And so at that time, well, I don't know, we were kissing in the back, and he ended up,
Was he a single man?
he was divorced.
Okay, so he
With-
bought a
with
van
kids.
to
With
like.
kids.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, so he
Yeah.
didn't want to bring you home to his house, probably. Like,
Well,
is that
no,
why he
at
built
the
a van?
time he had left his wife, but they divorced, and he was living in his mother's basement.
Okay.
What a winner.
Yeah.
And so he couldn't take me to his mother's basement because she was a thumper too, Bible thumper.
Yeah.
And we couldn't go to my house because,
You were 14, and your mom would be like.
yeah.
Actually, she'd probably be like, "Oh, good."
You brought Steven home. His
Yeah.
name was Steven. He's a pedophile.
So yeah, he bought the van and he put a bed in the back, and we just hung out there for days and days and days. And
Did
one
he
day
feed
he
you
just,
alcohol too, or was it?
no,
just
no,
sober
he was
good?
a thumper.
Yeah,
Right?
well, I didn't
Praise
know.
Jeebus. And so,
But he must have said, oh, I'm sinning. Like he must
oh
have.
yeah, oh yeah.
I
So
can't help. It's your fault. You make me sin.
yes, that's exactly what it was.
Oh my God.
So once we had sex, and he would be like, okay, I don't love you anymore. I can't handle this anymore because we had sex and you made me sin. And I'm going to hell, so I have to stay away from the sin. So then he'd reject me.
Oh,
and then
you
I would be
poor thing.
heartbroken. And then he'd
Yeah.
take me back when he wanted to have sex again. And then I knew it would last like a week or so that he would spend time with me. And
Did you have close girlfriends or like any friends?
no,
Okay, so you weren't
No.
able to be like, oh, this new boy.
no, hell no. I had no friends because I wasn't allowed, right? Well,
What
I
did
was.
you do at school? Did you hang out with anybody?
I hung out with like everyone was my friend at school.
Right, but it wasn't
I-
like close enough that
No.
you would tell them stuff.
No.
Oh.
You probably knew on some level that they would disapprove of that.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yeah.
you're smart enough to go, ooh, everyone else's boyfriend is 14.
Well, I was ashamed, right? Because here I am, a Bible thumper. I'm going to hell because this guy had sex with
Sure.
me, and I must have evil spirits and demons or whatever, maybe.
Oh my
And
God.
so eventually, what he did was he told the church that I had an evil demon in me named Jezebel, and it made him have sex with me every time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So they kind of like turned their back on me because I was so evil.
Well, duh.
Right? So just think of this, 14-year-old kid who's getting molested by a 32-year-old, and all these stupid, Bible thumpers with their no education and no brain are
Blame
like,
you.
yes, it's my fault.
Makes logical sense, right?
So then what happened?
So then my mom decided that since I was so evil, she was going to get a whole bunch of people over and speak in tongues and moan and groan in the basement to try to get my demon out because I was upstairs.
Okay.
So at that point, I'm like, this is not okay anymore. At this point, this is abuse. Like,
Yeah, you
You,
finally
you really
realized.
felt that?
I knew that there was something wrong and it
Yeah.
wasn't okay.
Yeah.
And so my mom's friend, who was a thumper, but who didn't go to the same church, she phoned asking. And I'm like, actually, she's downstairs moaning and groaning, trying to get the demon out of me. And then, so she's like,
She'll call you later.
hold on, I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to take you to my house.
Oh.
So I went and lived with this lady for like 2 or 3 months.
So when that happened, was your mom like, "Oh, see you later"?
Yeah.
Like, did she fight it?
She was like, see you later. If you can't ever see that man again if you ever want to come back. And at
Okay.
that point, that man who betrayed me, he was my only source of love I've ever had.
Right. She loved him.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, fuck that. I can't leave him.
Yeah.
He's my everything. He's
Yeah.
my world. I was obsessed with the guy
Yeah.
because
Well, that's what happens when you're 14, even with your 14-year-old boyfriend.
Is it?
Like,
Yeah, it
honestly,
is. Yeah.
Because you've never felt this, like, that
Love
feeling of falling
before.
in love, and it's just so exciting.
And it's forever. And like, I remember feeling that way.
I felt that way about AJ from the Backstreet Boys. Like, honestly, like, when you're 14, you like seriously just love everything, and you're gonna marry them, and I would do anything for them. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody is having sex with you and telling you and manipulating you, and you're already kind of like traumatized from a lifetime of it, of course you feel that way. Like,
yeah.
yeah. So
But the story gets worse.
Oh,
So,
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
So then I went back home and I said to my mom, I'm never going to see Stephen again. And so she believed me for a while. And then I ended up seeing him again. And then she got this pastor and his wife to come and get me from my bed. And they dragged me hands and feet to their house. Yeah, kicking and screaming. But then I eventually gave in and, walked myself out.
What the
So they put me in their basement and they locked the door.
This is like a movie.
I know. And there was nothing in there but a bed and a ticking clock. And so now, like, to this day, when I hear ticking clocks, it drives me freaking crazy. I have to
Yeah.
put it in a different room because it's just,
PTSD for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
so they just basically tried to get the demon out of me through, I don't know,
Isolation?
I don't know. I don't know how it works.
By making you lay there by yourself? Like, did they come in and do chant or anything?
They were, I think they were praying upstairs while I was downstairs with the Jezebel spirit. And it was so evil
That's
they
like
didn't want to go near it or
essentially,
something.
What do they do in jail when segregation, where they put
Yeah.
you by yourself
Yes,
and then you lose
isolation.
your damn mind? Like, that's what happened. Like,
Yes.
How long
Yeah.
were you down
Well,
there?
I was only there like hours at a time, and then they would feed me. And then there was a point where I had to go to school, so she drove me to school, and then I came back, and then I was locked in the room again while they prayed for the demon to come out. But in the meantime, I'm like, what the hell? Like, I've been abandoned by my mother, my father, and the person I loved the most in the world, which was Steven at the time. And then these people are, and I'm like, well, maybe I do have a demon. I don't know. Like,
Sounds legit,
right?
probably.
Why would everybody be leaving me if I was a good person?
yeah. So then the last day I was there, I was supposed to stay longer, but I got really sick, like with a flu. And I said, she's like, I'm not leaving you alone in my house. So you have to go to school. I'm like, I can't go to school. Can I maybe just go in my own bed in my home and just sleep there? And
Why couldn't you stay there?
because the demon was gonna like trash their house or something. I was a good kid, by the way. I would never do anything.
Yeah.
But
Oh my god.
so then she was nice enough to drive me, and my mom was allowed
Nice
me to stay in my bed while I was really sick.
Well, that's so nice.
And as soon as she left, my mom, like, she took away all the phones so I couldn't phone Steven. And, but she didn't lock me in or anything. So she had to go to work. And so then I walked to the fire station, which is a block away. And I asked to use the phone, and I phoned Monica's mother-in-law. And I'm like, can you help me? I don't know what to do. And she came pick me up and took me to Monica's house.
Yeah.
Monica saved the day.
Not really.
Because you were living, like, how old were you then?
I would have been 21 or so, 22. No, how old were you? So I had 9 to 14.
That time I was probably like 15,
Okay.
16.
But I was
So
living
you're
on
25?
my own. Yeah. So I'm living
You were
on
in
my
Rockford.
own. And I said, you can live with me, but you can't see Steven. That was my rule. And eventually I think she just like, no, I want to go see Steven. And I'm like, well, you can go back home then. But at the same time, like I got so much guilt over that fucking period of time. Like, but my own experience with that is I just want to, you're young too.
Yeah.
Like I think about what 24, 25
Yeah.
is, and I look at my daughter who's a complete moron. Sorry.
Well, you're selfish at that age, right?
Oh,
So self-centered, and I think like
you
should
probably didn't
have,
understand the bigger scope either. Like you.
I did understand the bigger scope, but it
Oh.
was so normal for me. It's hard to say when people say to us later, "Well, you were abused." You're like, "We weren't abused." It took a really long time for us to be convinced that this was abusive behavior.
Right.
You know, like I did end up
Makes me
calling
really
the police.
sad.
I called the police on Steven because he's molesting my sister.
Yeah.
But they had
Thank
said,
you. That was so nice of you.
But they
you.
said the age of consent was
14.
14,
Yeah.
whatever it was. You'd reached the age of consent, and they said if it was a parent who complained, they could do something, but they won't do anything for me. So unless Steven was a pastor or a teacher or there's no, so they're like,
Really?
yeah, there's nothing we can do.
And so mom and him are friends.
to this day?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. They go for coffee together and
Okay, I was actually gonna ask. So, obviously, like I'm sure you have a lot of other stuff with your mom and everything, but like you have said earlier that you still have a relationship with her to a certain extent. Like you see her.
Oh yeah.
So why? How do what is going on in your head?
See, that's a great question. Guilt.
guilt. Yeah. So I have managed, like, with the love of my husband and him encouraging me, from it being like 5 days a fucking week that she would come over and suck me dry of my lifeblood and my happiness, that I said, okay, I made it once a month
that you see her.
that I see her.
And you do that
out
for
of
her
obligation, for her benefit, to make her feel special, because
Why do you think she needs to feel special? Because she's your mom.
she's my
and-
mom.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's really hard to describe her because she doesn't think like you think.
Yeah.
Like I told you that story last week about my brother who sent
yeah.
her the birth certificate back. Watch our previous episode, and her response was, "Well, I'm just going to send him another card and say I forgive you." Like she doesn't have the same thought process. She
no, but it
doesn't
was for herself though. I said, so
Yeah.
why are you doing this when he doesn't want to talk to you? And she said, well, because it makes me feel better, because then Jesus knows that I've forgiven him.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with I love my son so much I want him to
No.
know. It's that I want to make myself feel better So this is how I'm doing
That
it.
is such a delusioned way to think. What was her childhood like? Like, did she have love?
She grew up during the war.
Okay.
So she was the oldest daughter, I think 11 children, extremely religious family, so much so that everything was a sin. It was a sin to wear a skirt. It was a sin to look at yourself in the mirror. Like, you don't masturbate. You don't, like, everything. Like, it was a very, very strict family. So you're thinking wartime, starvation, hunger. She grew up in such a religious environment that she felt that any sin that she committed, she was going to hell. So she was like always on this alert of, am I doing it wrong? Am I doing it right?
So there's always somebody watching. That's what religion kind of weirds me out. Like,
Yeah.
you're not living for yourself. You're living because somebody's watching.
But her sisters, like, she has 4 sisters.
They're all normal.
Fucking amazing.
Isn't
Like,
that
we
interesting?
lost the mother lottery because every time we see these women, which isn't very often because they all still live in Holland, they're beautiful, emotionally intelligent souls. And then there's my mom. And you're like, what the fuck did we do to
I
deserve
think
this?
what they did was they took her out of school in grade 6 and they made her help out at home.
Oh.
So she couldn't, I don't know, socialize, or
Yeah.
maybe she was singled out because they didn't think that she was smart enough, or I don't
Yeah.
know.
But that was how it kind of was. You
Yeah,
know,
back in
then,
the
too.
day.
Like, it was pretty common. Like, my
Yeah.
mom didn't. Like, my mom's obviously a little younger, but she's 71, and she left school in grade 6 because she had to do the same thing for her family.
Yeah.
Like, it was very common.
Yeah. So
Well, Melissa, that is that's
Good
quite the
story, right?
So, how do you now? Obviously, do you have any relationship with religion at this current moment?
You know, I really wish I did, because wouldn't it be nice to believe that a God loves you and that he's going to take care of shit and that you're not alone and that
Do you okay? So, does part of you obviously? I think it goes without saying that you have trauma and emotional stuff still based on
probably.
childhood. There's no way you don't.
For
Like,
sure.
Actually, you know what? When I hear, like, if something's on TV and my husband's like, look at this, and there's someone speaking in tongues, you know that feeling when you're like going too fast and you see the cop and he's like got his gun and you go, ugh! That's how I feel.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay. So you have PTSD for sure.
yeah.
Have you ever done any kind of therapy or anything?
Oh my God. I've had hundreds of hours of
Okay.
therapy.
And how do you feel now with it all? Like, because your mom's still in your life and you're doing it out of obligation. I'm just kind of wondering, like, where are you at now with, like, because
Religion?
when you say the religion thing, like, wouldn't it be nice? My first, no, like, I feel fine. I know everything. You said, and that way you'll know everything's going to be okay. I'm thinking everything will be okay. Like, you'll make it okay. I'm okay.
That's because you're normal.
But that's what I'm, okay, so the fact that you're still thinking that, like, wouldn't it be nice to have this sense of security?
Well, remember, me and Monica always think, okay, the only person that's ever going to take care of me is me. So
Interesting.
I have to make a
Yeah.
plan for the future. I always have to be 10 steps ahead because I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to be hungry. I'm going to be alone if I don't preempt everything, because there's no one that's going to have my back.
So you've been married to your husband for how long?
We've been together 16 years now.
Okay, so you obviously, I saw the way you guys interacted. You seem to have a very healthy, loving
We do.
relationship.
He's like a saint.
So you feel obviously love from him.
Yes.
Do you ever have issues, or have you in the past issues with him where, like, you feel like you always have to make sure he still loves you, and, like, do you know what I mean? Like, make sure you're doing things right to make sure you don't
Lose the love.
Yeah.
lose the love.
I think so. I think I know, like,
Love doesn't come for free.
No, love is
me
not
and
free.
Melissa learned that a
Well,
long time
I've
ago.
talked to you a lot about
Yeah.
this and how you still are, like, if like you're always making sure people aren't mad at you, and you
Sure.
kind of make sure you
It's
behave
it's like the
properly.
balance in the room and just making sure, because you just don't want to tip the scales
Yeah.
because you aren't worth anything. So
Yeah.
you know, and I hate to say that,
Yeah.
but it is the underlying, like, it is your first trauma, and it just, even though you can logic it out and go, well, this is stupid, da da da, like, I'm still living that.
Yeah.
I'm still living that, and I know you are
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. You
Like
know that at any point they can leave you
Yeah.
for anything because you're not worthy of
and you
free
wouldn't
love.
be surprised.
So
No.
has that caused, I think if it was me and I
Yeah.
was married to somebody who behaved that way, I would be like, what more do you need? Like, I love you. Like, just, you know, like, do you guys ever have those, like, where he's
Conversations,
just, the
yeah.
conversations of, like, what do you need from me? Or you being like, do you love me? Like, do you have those?
No.
Have you ever,
I've
like,
never,
at the
I don't
beginning
show
of the
it.
Okay, well,
No.
so, but it goes on in your head?
No, because he's been such a good husband.
So you-
I got really lucky. He's always loved me. He's
Don't
never
call that
rejected me.
luck. You married the right guy.
I did.
After so many fucked up
Yeah,
boyfriends.
terrible.
Which
people.
we will get to.
Yeah.
But when people say like if you talk about this beautiful house, well, I got lucky. Like, you wouldn't say that. You say I worked really hard to have this beautiful house.
Not really. I got really lucky.
Yeah, but what a way to
It's
think.
not like somebody you won the lottery and they're like, here's this beautiful house.
It's pretty much.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You won the lottery to get this house?
No,
Well,
you didn't.
I kind of did.
Okay, go on.
Oh, well, first of all, like this house is, I got lucky because it was really, 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 really ugly.
Okay.
And I can see.
I'm not letting you finish. You work hard for things and you get them. So what I'm trying to say is with your marriage too, is you got lucky because you picked the right husband, but you picked the right husband who loves you. You know what I'm saying? Like, give yourself some credit. Is what I'm
Yes.
getting
He
at.
didn't
But-
just fall from the sky. The stork didn't bring
And
him
then
in.
he
Like,
just happened to be like the perfect guy for you. Like, that's not like, you obviously had enough self-awareness of what you need and the mistakes you had made, and you guys have built whatever relationship in spite of your past traumas. So I think that's something to at least give yourself a little bit of credit for.
I guess. But there's always that underlying, he's going to leave me if I don't do this or I don't do that.
Right.
I've never like,
the
and
You
fear
never
is
feel
still
totally
there.
secure.
it's always there. Like
Yeah.
even when it comes to sex, I believe with 1000% certainty that if I don't put out whenever it's
wants it?
required, then he will leave me one day.
And has he ever given you
And-
any inclination?
No,
that
and I've
yeah.
told him that, and he's like, "Are you insane?
Yeah.
Like, even if if your hole was broken and
Yeah.
I could never use it again,
Yeah.
I would still love you. I'd still stay
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
But I believe that men are, I don't know.
You just don't
Well-
believe in people. You have learned that people show you one face and there's another side, and so you are just going to make sure that you're checking all the boxes to make sure you are the perfect Melissa, so that if something did happen, you can say that it wasn't my fault, right?
I don't know. I guess, or just
Like,
I want
I'm-
to prevent it from happening.
Yeah.
But,
and I'm generalizing, and I'm probably talking about myself as well. Like when I say that, I'm not
Some of the
I'm not
things-
just saying you. I'm
Yeah.
saying growing up in that environment makes you do that.
Well, it
Makes
makes
you act
perfect
that
sense
way.
though. If you're so used to love being conditional and
Yeah.
you're so used to people leaving you at the drop of a hat or not
Yes.
caring if you leave,
Yeah.
well then
Of course.
you're gonna like walk around on eggshells all the time. And sorry, I just need to go back. Your mom hangs out with that guy?
Yeah.
How did have you ever said anything to her? Like, Mom,
Yes.
that's a little weird?
Yeah.
And how does she justify that?
Well, he asked me for forgiveness, so I forgave
Has
him.
he asked you for forgiveness?
No.
Have you seen him since you were like young?
No. But she's like, he's still a thumper, and she's a thumper, and
Has he
there's
done
like
it with anybody else, do you think? Like any other young
no,
girls?
because actually one day about 15 years ago, I was at like some kind of a show somewhere in the Saddle Dome, and he was there, and he met my husband, and he said hi, and but he
Wow.
was with a new wife. She was an older lady, like his age.
Yeah, it doesn't
And-
mean that he isn't on the side, but yeah. How did he? So your husband obviously knew the story about him when they met.
Not quite. We were
Oh.
just dating.
Did you tell him afterwards?
Yeah.
And how did he react?
Fucking pedophile. Want
Yeah.
to kill him.
Yeah.
That is an insane. That breaks my heart. I feel like we have so much more.
Oh, but you know what's
know.
really interesting is that Monica and I have completely different coping mechanisms of dealing with our narcissistic
Okay.
life or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe because I grew up differently than she did, but whenever there's an issue, I worry about 20 steps ahead. Maybe that's why I'm good at business or whatever.
yeah.
I'm always anticipating people's needs and
Yeah.
what they want, because that's how I learned to do with my mother, so that she
Yeah.
would love me or that she wouldn't be mad or sad. So for me, anything that I do, whether it be buy a house or buy an ottoman or
Right.
or I don't know, meet somebody, I have to research the hell out of it on the internet, and I sit there and research. And
if you go to a restaurant, you're looking at the menu before you go.
Yep, and I'm checking the reviews, and
I do that
every time.
I'm very similar to that.
Yes, and
I get you.
I make generalizations by tons of information that I take in, so that I don't screw it up.
You can make an informed decision. You know what you're getting
and
into.
I go,
and
roll the dice.
Yeah, and
So
Monica is like an ostrich.
It's
She
true.
doesn't want to hear it. She does if it's
I
bad.
see.
She's like, I'm just gonna put my head in the sand. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna believe that it's good.
Yeah.
And COVID's great, and we're all gonna get through this together. And it's not a scam.
Absolutely what I'll do. I just like, it's just like too much news makes, I'm just shutting it off.
like,
I'm shutting myself down.
Keep plugging
Yeah.
Shut it
away.
down.
Just keep
Yeah.
going. Just
Because I feel like it's out of my control, and the only thing I can do is shut it down. You just go someplace else.
the world's burning down around you, and you're just like, I'm good in this little.
Yeah.
And for me to gain my control back, I have to learn more.
Yeah. Why
So
is
that-
it burning down? Like,
Yes.
how do I put it out? Like,
Yes.
who's working on putting out the fire?
How do I prevent this from happening again?
Yeah.
But who's
interesting.
but then I'm like, who's happier? Like, I just find that in my day-to-day life, I just feel like I don't want to have that anxiety.
Well, there's the whole like ignorance
Yeah.
is bliss is a saying for a reason.
Yeah.
But like you can also make a lot of mistakes. You know, like I'm gonna give a
Yeah.
stupid mistake about like just my boob job. Like
Yeah.
I knew breast implant illness existed. I chose not to research it and look into it. I got my boobs done anyways, researched it after, and now I regret it. Like if I would have,
Really?
oh yeah,
They
that's a
look
whole
good.
different. Oh, thank you. But it's a whole different. We'll do an episode on this eventually. But like, I always say like I did the whole ignorance is bliss thing. I'm like I didn't want to think about it at the time because I just wanted the boobs, and now I'm like, fuck, if I would have just done a little bit of research and put the effort in, I wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah, we probably should end this here, and we'll,
I think we have a lot more to talk to you
we
about.
do, yeah.
So we'll probably do another couple segments with Melissa.
Exactly. So thanks for tuning in to It's Really None of Our Business with Monica and Amanda and our beautiful guest, Melissa.
You can follow us on all social media. You should go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. Hit the little bell notification. It'll let you know when we release new videos.
Yeah, find us on Facebook and Instagram and
Anywhere you get
anywhere.
your podcast.
Yeah, and all the podcast places.
Go to Facebook and join our group because Monica posts a lot of nonsense and it's funny to make fun of her.
It's so fun. I think I'm hilarious. Let me know if you do too.
Okay, see you guys on the next one.
Ciao. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to It's Really None of Our Business podcast with Monica and Amanda. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. You know all the places. If you've enjoyed this podcast, tell your friends, and please rate and review us where you can. If you are brave enough to reach out and ask us for advice, we will definitely read it out on our show. We'll totally keep your name anonymous, so what do you got to lose? You can reach us by email at ask.noneofourbusiness@gmail.com. Looking forward to hearing from you guys soon. Ciao.